happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Global Happenings Today YouTube channel. Many thanks for keeping faith with us. Some few hours ago, Shettima reiterated the need for good governance, saying that they have just about 10 to 20 years window period to give Nigerians good governance, because some few years back, it was always a thing of joy when he goes back home. Back then in Borno, Maduguri, the poor, the masses will always come and greet them in joy, and they'll be celebrating his home community. But right now, even when he goes with bulletproof cars, the anger in the faces of the poor masses clearly shows that they have just about limited time to give governance. He's back again, and this time around, he's telling Nigerians the level of poverty and what has to be done is not really up to them. Of course, in another news, IMF is already sending a signal. Remember, as a nation, we are heavily indebted. So I think our leaders need to pay full attention on what IMF is saying. Well, before we go into the news proper, kindly subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Beside it, you see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as you update our channel on YouTube. Please don't forget to like and share the videos so that others may be able to see the videos as well. Now, according to the news, the Vice President Shettima stated in Ilorin that Shettima decried the lack of adequate investment in agriculture and technology, saying the situation has negatively affected efforts to end insecurity and reduce poverty. He said this in Ilorin, Kwara State capital, while delivering the 13th convocation lecture of Al-Kama University during the weekend. Now, the vice president said it was unfortunate that 90% of Nigerians still depend on cutlasses and hoes to earn a living. He said 100 years ago, our forefathers were eking out a mega existence using cutlasses and hoes. Even now, 90% of Nigerians are living a subsistence existence using hoes and cutlasses. This calls for investment in modern technology. I have a picture of a town in central Borno that was taken in 1900, and when you just oppose it with the one taken in 2020, there won't be any remarkable difference. Shettima reiterated the need to leverage the growing influence of technology to develop our agricultural sector to actualize food security. Nigeria, he said, can overcome insecurity once we grow our economy to radically reduce poverty levels, adding that only an agricultural revolution can guarantee this. He said, going by the amount of arable land, water resources, and size of our humanity, Nigeria has no reason not to be among the 10 richest countries in the world. The vice president thanked the management of the school for naming the newly constructed faculty of nursing complex, which he commissioned after him. Now they're beginning to see exactly what Peter Obi has been saying. He talks about this issue of agriculture. Please, there's no need. Ransoring is allowed. Photocopying is allowed. Just photocopy and just do the needful. Because Nigerians are gradually losing patience. But okay, let's find out what IMF is saying concerning the issue right now. Nigeria is not earning enough revenue to support its developmental needs, the International Monetary Fund has disclosed. Now, according to IMF, the country's 9% revenue to gross domestic product ratio is very low and not enough to support the country's societal safety net, development spending, and protect its vulnerable households. The director of IMF's communication department, Julie Kozak, revealed this during a press briefing. Now, responding to a question on Nigeria at the briefing, she said, as we mentioned in our Article 4 consultation, which was held in February 2023, raising revenue from the very current low revenue to GDP ratio of 9% is essential to create fiscal space for social and development spending. 9% of GDP is very low revenue to GDP ratio, and it's really not high enough to be able to support strong social safety net, the development spending to help protect vulnerable households and also to meet Nigerian development needs. She, however, noted that Nigeria's 2024 budget hopes to prioritize priority spending both on the social and development side. She stated that the 2024 budget aims to reduce the fiscal deficit, which also created space for this priority spending both on the social side and also on the development side. Now, low revenue has become concerning in the Nigeria, with the federal government recently moving to improve the revenue to GDP ratio. Now, during the 2024 budget presentation, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bogodo, said the revenue generation remains a major fiscal constraint to Nigerian fiscal feasibility. However, government is reviewing the current tax and fiscal policies with a view to improving revenue generation. Now, the target is to increase the ratio of revenue to GDP from less than 10% currently to 18% within the current term of this administration. Efforts will, however, focus on improving tax administration and collection efficiency. At the World Bank IMF annual meeting in Morocco in October, the Assistant Director of Fiscal Affairs Department, IMF, Era Dabal Norris, declared that Nigeria's revenue to GDP ratio is quite low relative to the other emerging market and developing countries. Further commenting on Nigeria at the press briefing, the Director of the IMF's Communication Department noted that inflation in the country is very high, crossing the 27% mark in October. She stated that the IMF expects the CBN to hike rates further at its next MPC meeting. She also declared that the central bank, under its new leadership, has started to withdraw excess liquidity that was in the system and contributing to high inflation. The next Monetary Policy Committee meeting should further raise policy interest rates. So the central bank is taking action to try to address the high inflation problem. However, it remains to be seen whether the CBN will hike its rate considering its governor's stance on interest rates. Yes, you want to hike interest rate. Many Nigerians are borrowing and you want to hike interest rates. Okay, continue. They are allowing the IMF to do. The rich are very rich. They don't have a problem. It's even the poor now. After begging, nobody's giving them money. They are borrowing. And you now want to hike interest rate. Let's continue. Now, at the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Lagos of Nigeria annual meeting that was held in Lagos, Olayemi said our monetary policy will aim to achieve price stability, foster sustainable economic growth, and stabilize the exchange rate of the naira, and reduce the interest rate to facilitate borrowing and investment in the real sector. What is the increased interest rate? Now, it might also be until 2024 before the next MPC meeting with Cardoso, stating that for the avoidance of doubt, the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007 requires that the meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the bank be held at least 4 times a year, and the bank has satisfied this requirement for 2023. Our focus has been on ensuring these meetings are useful and effective. In its new outlook, Global Rating Agency Monday declared that the high inflation in Nigeria is raising the risk of social unrest. It said that increasingly high inflation generates spending pressure on the government and raises social risk, while the extent of fiscal relief from the removal of oil subsidy remains unclear at this stage. Okay, let's just hope that the revenue would not be looted eventually, but also our advice on this rate that they shouldn't increase interest rates. It's actually the poor that are borrowing. The rich, they have plenty money. It is who go and borrow. If you have, you will not borrow. That's just my personal opinion. But let's see how it plays out. They want to try to control the economy. Let's interact.